Call the meeting to order with pledge of allegiance.
States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tony, can you do a roll call, please?
Mayor Hyde,
Present.
Counselor Johnson,
Present.
Counselor Quinn,
Present.
Counselor Hendrickson,
Present.
Counselor Jetta,
Present.
Okay, for the mayoral update, I don't really have anything to discuss other than I went to the winter frolic, as did several of the council. It was a great time. The kids looked like they were having a wonderful time running up and down the hill. There was great snacks, so the weather cooperated. It was a nice day. If you were able to make it, I'm glad. If not, maybe next year you can. Next is public discussion. Again, when you come up to the podium, please state your name, your address. You will have 3 minutes to talk about your topic.
I'm gonna jump right in, Julie.
And address your comments to me. Please do not discuss complaints or concerns about city staff. There are other avenues to address concerns of those types, such as either call the city administrator or contact one of the city councilors or myself directly. But we cannot discuss personnel issues in an open meeting. That being said,
Hello, everybody. Well, I have 3 minutes, right? So let me talk fast and get to the point. Okay. I'm not sure, Mayor Heim, if you're familiar with the letter that went out to the Minnesota mayors on December 22nd of last year. But this letter went out to all Minnesota mayors, urging the legislature to correct course and to remember that every dollar a mayor manages belongs not to the capital, but to the people you serve. Sadly, only 98 out of 856 mayors in Minnesota signed the letter to support and represent the families in their city to obtain fiscal sustainability throughout the state. Some of the contents of the letter include, and this is certainly not all of it, but there is significant property tax levy pressures throughout the state. There's a historic $18 billion that disappeared in a single biennium, a projected $2.9 to $3 billion deficit in the 28-29 biennium. And Minnesota is slipping in national economic rankings, and statewide indicators match what is observed at local levels. For example, between 2019 and 2024, Minnesota ranked 46 in median household income growth. From 2020 to 2024, Minnesota had a net outmigration of nearly 48,000 residents. Our residents deserve better than deficits, economic decline, and policies that push families away. Our state owes it to our citizens to practice responsible fiscal management and to stop taxing our families, seniors, and businesses out of Minnesota. Families cannot sustain the increase in tax levies based on irresponsible spending decisions. The trickle-down effect burdens the men, women, children, and families in Rice Lake and across the state. Fiscal irresponsibility, amassing pressures of rising taxes, and other rising costs that are out of control are root causes that deteriorate families. Parents spend more time away from home, working multiple jobs just to have the privilege of basic housing, food, medical, and transportation. An absent parent cannot provide for their children's educational, social, and moral growth. When fiscal responsibility expectations are unmet, cities feel the consequences first, and our residents feel them the most. So, as a servant to the tax-paying citizens of Rice Lake, have you considered signing this letter? If you even had a chance to review it or see it?
I have seen the letter. I did not sign it.
There's still time.
Certainly, if the council wishes me to do so, I will. I personally don't like petitions. I have had meetings with both Senator Housechild and Representative Zalesnikar to discuss my concerns in these issues. And that is how I choose typically to deal with things. I deal with them personally. But if the council wants me to sign this letter, I certainly will do so.
I encourage you to do it, Jamie. I mean, Minnesota's going through some there's a lot of fraud going on out there. And I think we all need to work together. Whether that's a coalition of mayors, because who do we go to? There's no one left but the mayors. The mayors are the responsible people now. You know, our top tier,
I know this is a little out of protocol. The people that are in the audience, can I see a show of hands of those of you that would like me to sign this letter?
Fine.
Council?
I have seen the letter, read it, so I don't have an opinion on it. I will just say this sounds,
I do have a copy of it if you would. I only have one copy, but you're free to look at it.
sure. I will also just say, to me, this sounds a little bit partisan, and I don't know if that's the case. I could be wrong, and I just don't, there's not a Democratic or Republican way to fill a pothole, right? I don't think there's any room, I don't think it's constructive to do that here. That's my thought.
I'm not making this, political. It is, I mean, if I'm gonna say anything political, because I really choose not to go there, because in this room, we have a mixture of flavors here.
Exactly.
And we all learn to get along in our community. But it affects all of us, no matter what side of the fence you're on, it affects all of us. And something's gotta be done. And I appreciate you going a little bit out of protocol, Jamie, and asking for, I like that, because that's how it used to be. Can I have a show of hands? And of course, we lost that when we became a township, but thank you for bringing that back. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Teresa.
Yeah.
For the record, could you state your name and address?
Oh, I apologize. Teresa Koivula, 5189 Howard Denison Road.
I will consider it.
Laurel Mellon, 4225 Gothenburg Road. Not as well versed as Tara at public speaking, but I'm gonna give it a go anyways. There's a few things that I'd like to bring to the attention of the council that have bothered me, of some actions that I've seen and I've kind of recorded and thought about. And so I've tried to put my thoughts together. So there was a recent firing of Justin Alshire, and there's a few of these things that are regarding my thoughts and opinions on those. There was a live drive that was shared, and in the live drive, it said the HR committee, and this was on January 6th, within an hour after the meeting, that the HR committee has come to the determination that there's probable cause for the allegations to justify discipline. But then publicly, it was claimed that there was no decision made until a much later date. So was the decision actually made in private during one of those closed meetings and kept secret? And then accidentally, when the live drive was accidentally shared, was that a slip? Or, was it or to use quoted words from that live drive, was it incompetence, disobedience, or both? Why that was shared? Which also, to me, that seems like that's kind of toxic words to send to an employee, your coworker, whether it's your subordinate or not, but you literally call them incompetent, disobedient, or both. That was accidentally shared. So, was it incompetent, disobedience, or both when people weren't considered staff that were actually staff, such as when Tara did a data request looking for an email sent to the sheriff's department, and the very person who said it didn't exist was the one who sent the email. So I can assume that remembered who sent it. Was it incompetence, disobedience, or both? When it was posted on the bulletin board, I saw at the last council meeting that Justin Alshire performance review was a closed meeting, when it in fact was an open meeting. Was this an intention to dissuade the public from going? to an open public meeting by posting it as the wrong. So that seemed like a pretty big error, not actually giving correct information to the public. Was it incompetence, disobedience, or both that Justin's name was on that notice, but then when Tara tried to ask you, Jamie, questions about it, you said to quote, "We are not allowed to confirm or deny who the person is. Right now, it is employee A," but yet it was out in the hallway, his name. So you couldn't say his name, but it can be posted in the hallway. That just seemed a little like a disconnect right there for me. Also, Alex agreed to yield my time to me, so I'm gonna be using that time as well. I've been incompetent.
I can tell you right now that I'm not going to address any of this.
So I'm not asking for her to address, I'm just sharing my thought. Just so it can be seated, so people have a chance to think about this stuff. Was it incompetence, disobedience, or both, when even at that meeting, the speaker wasn't even working? Isn't that the job to have it set up prior? I mean, went through the really nitpicked list on January 29th of other employees, so I'm gonna nitpick too. But yeah, batteries in a microphone seems kind of like a standard procedure to want to do it if it's going to be an open meeting where public input is allowed. Was it incompetence, disobedience, or both that Justin Alshire was faulted for not checking trans oil on a cold, not running piece of equipment that is required to be running enough to attempt to have the trans oil checked on? Seems like if you don't know how to check the equipment, then you're maybe shouldn't be in the position of monitoring people to make sure to check it properly. You can't check it, don't know how to check it, and kind of seems silly that you can discipline people for checking it wrong. Was it incompetence, disobedience, or both when you didn't provide inspection sheets for your public work employees? I myself have worked in construction for years, and I've worked, my mother's a former city employee retiree. I had verified every city employee and every contractor that I've ever worked for has checklists for all of their equipment to make sure it's checked properly. You guys don't. That seems like, that just seems wrong. Was it incompetence, disobedience, or both that Justin R. was not dispensed after he sent racist, ableist, ageist, and sexist texts and memes on the clock while using a paid city cell phone to other city employees, or to not discipline Shane for laughing at these jokes, further encouraging?
Okay, as I mentioned before the meeting started, we will not talk about personnel issues.
Okay, I'm just listing all these things because I see Justin's face is still on the board and I saw those texts and I'm very offended by them. So I'm sharing how I feel about it. Let's see, so my question is the lack of action taken, should the city residents such as myself interpret that the city holds those same values? Or was the intent, I mean, is it the intention just to embarrass the city by not getting rid of them? Was it incompetence, disobedience, or both that the original Loudermill meeting on December 10th was not properly prepared, so then needing a second one so more paid time off, thousands of dollars spent on also for more paid time off, additional lawyer meetings, additional meetings, and more time to the staff to scour videos to make it a better prepared meeting. I know the first 3 Loudermill attempts were found to not be legitimate due to the fact that he didn't lose his job, so we had to get to a 4th. So how much taxpayer money was spent in all 4 attempts to get him fired? How much of our money? $25,000, $50,000? How much did this endeavor go to? I'm gonna get here and I'm reclaiming the time too. So I'm skipping ahead because there's a whole bunch of things, dad requests that aren't fulfilled, including my own. You text me, Jamie. And I made a dad request asking for anything that was regarding you, and even I got in that data request an email confirming that you would text me, but the text itself wasn't into the email. And I know it, obviously you were acting as an official mayor, because I don't think you would abuse your position and illegally get my private information for personal use. You asking them to get my phone number was using your position as mayor to get my phone number. I believe you were doing it on a rightful way to do it. So that was official city business. When you text me, should have been included. Also, my phone number was got off of the March 18th note sign-in sheet, which Carly even stated in the emails that were provided to me on my dad. But the March 18th assignment sheet wasn't provided. There's a whole bunch of things like that that weren't done, but I can see you're wanting to rush me along. So I can have somebody pick up where I left off if you'd like, reading, or I can,
You've had 6 minutes.
yeah.
That's all we will allow.
Well, so final. I'm gonna ask, I want Tony to resign. And if she's not willing to resign, then I'm gonna ask you guys to do something about it. Because she has willfully violated Minnesota State Chapter 213 Government Data Practices Act. And with a will, and as it states, statute 1309, willful violation of this chapter, including any action subject to a criminal penalty under paragraph A by public employee says that it's just cause for suspension or dismissal to the public employee. So if she's not willing to resign, I'm going to ask that you guys remove her. If you don't remove her, then I'm fully prepared to get the 823 signatures to force an audit to get her removed. Because I have 3 pages of illegal activities that she's done with these data requests.
You are welcome to get the signatures for an audit.
And if either of you guys want to read the list, I have it all here, and I have the evidence to prove all of the illegal activities as well. So we can make it a big deal, and we'll remember this in November when it comes time to vote. If you want to still stay sitting up there on that dais, I think you should do right by the city, because we deserve the right thing done.
And I believe we do. Anyone else that has public comment?
Tara Elshire, 4802 Arnold Road. I'd like the council members to pick your eyes up, please, because it's very important that you pay attention to the citizens while they are up there. We get 2 times a month to talk to you. To keep your heads down and avoid looking is rude. So pay attention because people have stuff to say. You guys thought I was bad before. I'm questioning everything now. I want to know a couple things. I haven't got data requests all the way back to the beginning of December. And now we're talking about the data request protocol. Funny, everything I do equals a change. Because you guys can't get it right the first time. I call you out and then you change it. Why? Could it be that I'm right? Could it be that you're wrong? Could it be that you have the chance to sit up here and do good for the community instead of rubbing people's face in the fact that you have power? You guys are abusing your positions. The word is malfeasance. You're doing it. You're doing it by avoiding hearing people. You're doing it by letting people like that run the city. You're doing it with putting him back on council 2 times. When you had an entire crowd here saying, please don't. You're supposed to do a good job. Okay, so moving on, I have a couple regular questions because my data requests don't get fulfilled. So what am I supposed to do? You tell me to do a data request, you tell other people to do a data request, we do the data request, we get charged $500, we don't get the answer. What is it that you want us to do? How would you like us to answer these questions? I'm curious. I need to know. I have many pending requests. In fact, now that Justin has been disciplined and we go back to the 24th of November and the 3rd of December, let's talk about those meetings. Because what was talked about? He didn't get sent home till the 5th because of violation on the 4th. So what were you talking about on November 24th and December 3rd? Huh? Those meeting minutes need to be released because with the statute that was used for the attorney-client privilege, it can only be used if discipline is in place. And you told me in the meeting that it was the same topic for both meetings, and then you admitted it was Justin Elshire. So I want those minutes. Okay, I have a quick question since I can't get data requests. I saw that there are some assessed fees in advance to lines being connected. Is this covering the city's portion of the paid Duluth WLSSD fees, or what portions are getting assessed? I'm just curious, like what is the city fee? What is the Duluth fee? What is the WLSSD fee? Curious.
I'm not sure what you're referring to.
This is exactly why. You can't answer it. So I need to do a data request. And I'd really prefer that your city administrator answer my data request. If neighbors are hooking up to the utilities that go onto our property because I signed an easement, how do they get there? Do they have to go under my property? Am I gonna be let known where the hookup is? That is a question that I have. Is there a map of utility lines and hookups? My time is up. I would normally say thank you, but you guys have refused to listen to me. So I don't thank you, but I wish you luck.
For anyone else?
Lisa Walls, 3861 West Fisher Road. Did you guys miss me? So I just had two kind of general questions about, I know it's technically part of the meeting, but it's not anything you guys go over, which is the executed claims. And I was just curious about two different, I probably am one of the only weirdos that looks at that every month. And one of the things I noticed was there's always one for a lobbyist. And now this time of year, that's extremely normal because we're new year, new budget, new whatever. But I noticed that this is something that gets paid every month. Are we chipping in a bill with the county? Or are they literally lobbying for us specifically as Rice Lake?
Is my understanding correct if I'm wrong? They are lobbying for Rice Lake.
They are. And who works with them on the lobbies? On what they're lobbying for? Like what kinds of things are they lobbying for us?
They lobby any legislative actions that are being considered down the state in a way.
So we
For us.
previously told them what
They
this
are,
is what's
yeah,
up, and someone has
Yeah.
communicated that with them, that this is what, as a city, this is what we want,
yes,
and who generally does that? Is that you as a council that need to do that?
council.
Okay, I was just curious, because I see it on there, and I know later in the year is not usually as busy of a time. My next question, and this is kind of silly, but not silly. I noticed there was a service, Potsy, Minnesota. Says pressure washer service. Is that literally to pressure wash one of the vehicles?
Maintenance on the actual pressure washer.
Okay, because that's what I was gonna ask. If we don't have a pressure washer as a city, we're not saving any money by having somebody else come and do it. Okay, thank you. That's what I wanted to know. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Okay, then we will move on to the consent agenda. Consent agenda, is the minutes from the January 26th, 2026 council meeting. It is also from the January 29th, 2026 performance evaluation for Justin Alshire. Executive claims are from January 27th, 2026 to February 9th, 2026, totaling $192,083.13. Looking for a motion for the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to,
I need to say something, public discussion. Those minutes are wrong for Justin
you'll have to go
Alshire.
up to the podium and get.
It's not public discussion. She said the format is you talk about stuff that's not on the agenda. This is on the agenda.
We are not talking from our seats.
I am talking about stuff on the agenda. You need to stop. The agenda has Justin Alshire's minutes. They are wrong. They miss a very crucial part for Justin because it's clear she was trying to quote him. Crucial part where he points to both Tony and Daryl and says, he thinks you guys are in too deep because of these two. Notice how she doesn't say that? Yeah, you need to make sure if you're gonna be posting stuff about somebody's life and the termination, it better be quoted correctly. Because that's how she rolls.
I actually noticed that too, that was on my list of the minutes or.
You wanna- You wanna scrutinize other people, people are gonna scrutinize you.
That's
Period.
Tony, can you add that to the minutes? Did you have,
She's got the video. We made sure the Zoom was on.
that's enough time.
Don't let. Sorry, I was trying to type up the minutes from what Lisa was saying, so what was the request?
That at one point, Justin specifically indicated that, you and Daryl,
That the council is in too deep because of these two right here. Glare at me all you want, it's the truth. And if we're gonna quote the truth, just follow the video as his exact words.
can we include that in Justin's statement in those minutes?
Just accurately. I'm doing pre-checks. Pre-check. Do you want me to adjust them and then submit them at the next meeting for
Sure.
your review? Okay, do that.
So for the consent agenda this time, we will talk about the council minutes on January 26th and the executed claims. A motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes and the executed claims.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Consent agenda passes. Department reports. Administrative report.
The month of January has been filled with end of year review meetings and beginning of year review meetings, as well as utility extension design meetings with our engineers. We have a few utility projects we are planning for 2026, so we're trying to wrap up the design so we can get them out for bid soon. I've also been working on getting all the approved budgets into our accounting system and making sure all the employee benefit deductions have been updated for the new year. We've also been working on our legislative bonding request for 2026 and getting our presentations ready for them. We will be presenting these requests to our legislators in February and March. 2026 legislative priorities can be found on our website on the administration department page under the informational links. I encourage residents that have questions on city operations, budgets, or elections to reach out to me with their questions or come to City Hall. I, along with our other staff members, are more than willing to sit down with them and answer any questions they may have or to provide them with additional information. Under data request updates, for the month of January this year, there was one request for 1.5 hours, estimated cost $69.65.
Council, any questions?
Tony, are you behind on data requests at this moment?
Yes, I am.
How much longer do you think it'll take to fulfill all those?
One of them will probably take months to compile all of the information, just because they're very time consuming requests with lots and lots of data and stuff to review. Some of them, I do actually have them finished. I was just waiting for a response to an email that was sent out to the person with the request, which I have not got a response yet back, so.
Do you take them in order and process them in order? Do you try to get the easier ones out first? Because we don't want any delays.
A little bit of both, usually in order, but for those that are a little bit lengthy, if I have other ones that are smaller requests, I do try to get those finished and out of the way.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, building and zoning.
In January, we had one lot combination, one residential home addition, and one residential plumbing permit. Total valuation $19,300, total fees $441.90. Take it away, Jim.
Thank you for the opportunity to come address you. Some of you probably haven't met. My name is Jim Rich. I'm your building official for your city. Certified building official in the state of Minnesota. State of Minnesota mandates that you've adopted the building code. You have to have a building official. So that's me. I've been in the game for over 30 years. I currently work for 5 other municipalities and 1 local township. The local township, I'm doing zoning, which is a nightmare, but we're doing it. And so anyways, with the years of experience I've had, I need to compliment this city. It's a very nice place for me to work. I find the staff very supportive and it's a nice place to be. So, I'm sure you have a couple citizens tonight, don't feel that way, but, with my experience in working with these other cities for over 30 years, this is a nice place. And they do a very nice job. The staff is very supportive. I'm very appreciative. With that, just for your awareness, as a counselor, if you should get approached, residential projects, I need to make about 10 or 12 inspections. So if, you know, a homeowner or a contractor, or boy, the guy's out here a lot, or what are we paying for? That's the service that you're paying for. And so it's reflective in your permit costs. My personal philosophy is that I'm trying to partner with the contractor and the owner. I'm a resource. So we're trying to work together. I'm not here to step on anybody or regulatory business is tough, but I'm there to work with people. So, once again, the community is very nice to work with. There's always a couple, that, you know, it's the 90-10 rule. 95% of the community is very supportive and easy to work with, and every community I work in, there's always one or two that you're gonna chase around. And let's see, and I think you need to be aware in the future as development comes knocking at your door, the easily buildable land is gone. So now what you have is slope sites, fill sites, wetlands and things. So, and so when people, the developers, the contractors start realizing these costs, and sometimes they come to the council or they come to the city and, oh boy, this project's costing me a lot and it's taking me longer. There's reasons for it. Now currently the Dollar General store opened up today. For awareness, that's a 7,000 square foot building. But that neighborhood down there has got poor soils. We had to drill, they had to drill soil borings there, and that building is placed on 24 feet of peat. And so, you know, building code, what we're trying to do is have buildings that last, and so that they're not gonna be a negative asset to your community in the future. So there's a lot of soil corrections, and there's some interest in that neighborhood down there. So when somebody comes in, applies for a building permit, and I have to tell them, you gotta go get some soil borings. It's, you know, $1,500, $3,000. It's an additional expense and additional time. But that's the reason for it. But Dollar General store, we're excited about opening today. I don't know how the grand opening went, but anyways, other than that, you know, you're very well aware of your sort of, I call it commercial development area. It follows utilities. Because most of your commercial buildings require fire suppression, so they're gonna need water. But there's an interest in coming to Rice Lake. I'm hearing developers, I hear contractors say they like working here, they want to be here. So I wish you the best in the future coming along here. So with that, anytime you have any questions, do not hesitate to reach out and we'll try and answer them. And the only thing I do say is if you want some direction, if you want to go somewhere, then I ask that it goes through the city administrator. So that we don't end up with a micromanaging type of situation. And Ed, anybody got any questions on me?
So, Jim, can you just explain what is your typical residential inspection? You say there's 7 to 8 steps for like a new residential home. What do you come and look at?
Oh, okay. Right now, it's real popular, the slab on grade homes. Okay, but state of Minnesota requires you have what they call a passive radon system. So there's some pipes that go in the ground to release the radon gas, and we can vent it outside of the building. So that's one of the first things that goes into the dirt. Then we come out, we look at the plumbing that's in the ground. Then we come out and look before they pour the concrete. Then we're gonna come out and do a framing inspection. We're gonna come out and look at insulation. We're gonna look at plumbing. There'll be 2 more plumbing inspections. There's gas piping inspection. There's heating, ventilating inspections. And we do a final inspection. The state of Minnesota requires that owners do what they call a blower door test. That's an additional expense. It's done by a third party. And what they're doing is looking for the energy efficiency, the tightness of a new home. Minnesota has one of the most rigid energy codes in the United States. And then we do a final inspection, and then we issue what we call a certificate of occupancy. That states that the minimum inspections have been completed, they're approved, and that the people can live in the home. And I always urge people, I tell them, we will work with you, the city will work with you. It's an important document, you know, it's a piece of paper. But some insurance companies require that they see a copy of this, as well as some lenders. But in my years of history, I've had 2 situations where people did not call for that inspection. One, somebody came to visit, got injured, they were hauled away by EMS. They get to the hospital, where did this injury take place? I was at Bob's house, you're not supposed to be there, so their insurance refused the payment for this medical cost, just because of the fact they didn't have that certificate of occupancy. And then one other situation, people had a house fire. And it was, they had been occupying the house for some time, the insurance company said, here, first thing they do is sometimes they're looking for an out. They call the city, did you issue a certificate of occupancy? No. So we're not paying the claim. So that's why I tell people, we're glad to work with you. And so just make the call. We can issue what we call a temporary certificate of occupancy if as long as life safety type things are done, but like I said, we're there to work with the people.
Do you give them like a checklist when you
Yes.
first start working like that?
Carly prepares, we've got an inspection card and it's all marked out there. Here's the inspection you need to call for. So.
Jim, on re-roofs, windows
Mhm.
and stuff like that, do you do inspections on re-roofing homes?
Yes, they'll call for a final inspection on that.
Okay,
And the city has fixed a flat fee on some of those things because of the fact when people are making improvements to the house, the last thing we want to do is penalize them by selling them an expensive building. So we try and flat fee that so it pays for the minimum on office staff and pays for your costs.
Any last questions?
Thank you, Jim.
Okay, thank you very much.
Oh, I missed one. I apologize. Financial report.
Month ending in January, in our checking account, we have $2,701,582.09. In investments, we have $1,627,953.41, for a total combined cash of $4,329,535.50.
Animal control.
In January, there was a puppy brought to Animal Allies, kitten brought to Animal Allies, a cat brought to Animal Allies, and there was an incident with 2 dogs that approached a teenager in the roadway, barking, snarling, generally threatening. Law enforcement was contacted and the owner, I contacted the owner, they came in, they acknowledged purchased the licenses that were needed, and we left it with they were received fines, they came in, paid their fines, acknowledged the warning, and assured us it would never happen again. So that's all.
Public Works.
Right, Public Works, starting with roads, throughout January, we received, several snow events typical for this time of year. Crews responded to each event, with the following: sanding, intersection cleanup to maintain safe travel conditions across the city. We had some temperature swings, freeze thaw cycle, creating some pretty icy conditions on some of the roads and the walking paths. When the temperatures allowed, crews applied sand to these problem areas and intersections to improve the traction. When time allowed, between snow events, staff worked on some vehicle maintenance, equipment maintenance and building maintenance projects to ensure that reliability for the remainder of the winter season. I noted briefly in last month's meeting also just the winter parking and garbage cans and stuff out the roadway. It just makes it, that much harder, I guess, to plow efficiently. And obviously if they're hit, it cause damage to the garbage can, which nobody obviously wants that either. Moving on to utilities, pretty much the same update as last month, with the lift station generator project. I'm still waiting to get, news back from the final inspection from the state of Minnesota. When I receive that, then the startup, schedule will be set with both contractors and whoever else wants to be involved in that. They'll do the initial startup on each generator and do all the load testing and stuff with them. Park, I think you talked briefly about the frolic. Staff assisted in the preparation for that and support the activities for the winter snow frolic event. Who's helped with site preparation, snow clearing and general setup to ensure safe and accessible condition for all the attendees.
Thank you, Shane. Any questions for Shane?
I do have a question. There was a day, I think it was last week on Nelson Road, that they came out and they sanded, and then the next day they came out and graded. And that, it didn't make any sense to me, because once they graded, it did pull up the rock in some spots, but then all the sand was gone that they laid down the day before too, which made it completely slick again. I've seen more people in the ditch on that road, this year than I have the 25 years I've lived there. So I'm just wondering, is there something that you're looking at? Like, why would you have sanded before you're gonna go out and grade the next day?
You're talking in between Gleason and Arnold, that middle section of Nelson, or which section are you talking?
The west side.
The dead end section of it?
Yeah.
I know during that time frame, there was quite a few of the roads that were really, really icy and there was sand put on them temporarily just so there wasn't people going in the ditch. And then the next day is when the picks were put on the grader and then a lot of those roads were stripping ice off of them to get them down to gravel. So it mainly was temporarily put down just to make it safe for that time, the time being.
I would just think that you would know, like, one day, and then the next day you're up there grading it. It didn't make any sense to us, so.
Oh, yeah, I understand. A lot of that goes back to like the freeze thaw. You can't, it's hard to predict sometimes with that, especially when you have a hard pack on there. If you get any of that thawing or misting or anything like that, it goes from super grippy to instant glare ice on most of the roads, so.
Well, and I know, this summer they had marked the roads. We had no idea what they were doing, and then all of a sudden they were there digging the ditches. One of our lines was not marked. It did get dug up. It was told, I believe, to you. Nobody contacted us. I ended up having a conversation the next morning when I was leaving to go to work, like, okay, what's gonna happen here? I was told, well, just give your cable company a call, but from us being a homeowner, knowing that it got pulled up and that it got brought to your attention, I would have thought that we would have maybe have received a phone call.
It was brought to my attention after the fact. I didn't know of it that day or the next day, but it was eventually, I wasn't aware of it. But if they are not marked, that's normally the locating company that is supposed to be the one that is in communication with Charter or Century.
If we would have known they were being dug, we could have told you there was a line there, but we didn't know what was going on. We just saw the stuff painted on the lines. And I know that over the course of a couple of years, there's been like a 1.5 feet taken off of each side of the road. If you watch people driving down that road now, they drive down the middle of the road. Nobody wants to move over because nobody knows where the ditch is, especially in the wintertime. when the grader's pushing the snow and you can't see where it drops off. And it's a definite, like, drop off. I will tell you, the grader had gone down the road, had the berm in the middle. I was trying to stay off of the berm. I tapped my brakes. I dropped my front tire off. And I couldn't get out, and I have a four-wheel drive truck, so. And there was a lady the, week previous to that, 10 feet in front of me. And then when the grader came by me, he also dropped the front end off of it. So right in front of my truck, so. Just go for thought.
Ma'am,
Maybe
can
a-
can you give us
a-
your name and address so we know what part of the road you're talking about?
On the
We
west
most
side,
likely have people come up to the podium, so just your name and address would be good.
It's Shannon Knaus, it's 4152 Nelson Road.
Thank you. We'll look into this.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think if that's that much of an issue, then there's something wrong. Maybe we can take a drive down that road and really look at it and see what you're talking about.
Yeah, you can't see much now because the snow is obviously covering it. We did have to have, Spectrum come out and run a temporary line. It is now through the trees and coming up the side of our yard, so there's a temporary line there. Because the temporary fix that they didn't work and our internet went out for a couple of days, so.
From the cut down the road to my mailbox is about, just shy of about 2 feet. You can actually see where the mail truck went off in the ditch as he's trying to pull up to my mailbox. So you can kind of see where the edge of the road is, just not his tire tracks.
That was after the road was ditched.
Yeah, and our road was pretty good before. We never had any problems with it until it's been ditched and it's like. What was it? A couple of years ago where, culvert was replaced and they had to replace it twice because it started washing out again. There is a stream that comes down the, west side of our property. And that's where a majority of the water comes down from the power line. And then it comes down and comes across the front of it. And that gets pretty heavy depending on how much snow we've had. But, definitely could use some help in that area.
So Shannon, this spring when it starts thawing and you're seeing all that water, contact Shane or call the city desk here and Shane and I will come down and take a look at that.
Okay,
And
thank
we'll
you.
address.
I just worry that it's gonna wash out again, the way that it was dug out again. Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you for that.
Anything else, Council? Okay, fire department.
All right, for the month of January, we had 26 calls for service, 19 medicals, 1 structure fire, 1 carbon monoxide alarm, 1 smoke odor, 1 fire alarm, 1 brush fire check, and 1 lift assist. New equipment, we received the council approved 5 new air packs and placed those into service this past month. And then under para, we completed and verified our good year of service credits paperwork for our para state volunteer fire plan account. That's it.
Yeah, any questions from the chief? Sheriff's report.
For January, we had 174 ICRs or calls for service, whether for self-initiating or called in. 54 of those included traffic stops and 7 or 8 of them, I couldn't read the wording on one of them, included accidents or vehicle ditch, roadway conditions.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was in the fall, but the numbers should start picking back up here relatively soon with warmer weather.
A lot of incidents here. Any questions for Debbie? Okay, thank you. Okay, we have no new business tonight. We have some first readings. So tonight we will just be looking at these, asking any questions we might have. The vote will not be taken until next meeting. Tony, talk to us about the sewer and water budget.
Yes, so these are the sewer and water proposed budgets for 2026. They're very similar to what we had in 2025. Just a few slight increases for inflationary costs and also for the updated revenue for the new sewer and water rates that were effective January 1st. And I did ask Robin if you guys have any specific questions on anything. She's a little more familiar with these than I am. Compared them.
I noticed there's one space that you have yellow.
Yes, that was for, Shane wanted to look into a frost free roof vent for the water tower. And so we didn't get that information in here as far as what that would cost, so that's why it's highlighted, but no amounts in there yet for that budget. item.
So we're working on getting a number for that.
Waiting on SEH.
Okay. Also, any questions for Robin?
I just kind of noticed that the end results were pretty positive, but like based on like engineering fees here, looking at 2026 versus 2025, there's a huge discrepancy. And I know the final numbers work out pretty good, but just on both water and sewer, kind of looks like there's a few larger discrepancies, even though we try and balance it out at the bottom. So just, are we using that water worth for some of this stuff? Robin?
Yes, I mean, we're going to be starting.
Okay.
For that, but, the fees that we're looking at for the engineering or some of the utility projects that are coming up.
Yep.
So
Yep.
That's why we increased it for.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Any questions or comments from the audience? Okay. Then we'll move on to the data practices policy. I assume you've all had a chance to read through this. Tony, anything you would like to highlight?
Just that this is a sample policy that we got from the data practices office directly. They kind of give a sample policy that communities can adopt, and then you just kind of update your specific information within the policy. So not much has changed other than it's just updated to the current state statutes that regulate it.
Okay. Also?
Sorry, I missed that. You said this came from what?
The Minnesota Data Practices Office.
Are these the forms you have been using?
No, these are different. The forms we were using was a policy we adopted in 2017.
Does this look like it would be better to work with, in your opinion?
I think so, because it gives a few more options as to how the people want to receive the information, which is usually something I have to go back and ask every time anyways.
Sure.
Hopefully this will be a little bit easier process. Just make it easier, be beneficial.
And there are two separate policies. So currently we only have one policy, but this is two separate policies. So one is just general government data that someone's requesting, and then the other one is the subject of the data. So if they're asking for data that the city has that is specific to them, that's why there's the two different policies.
Any other questions regarding this or comments? Any comments from the audience?
More care for you, Daryl.
Thank you, Tara.
Tara Alshire, 4802 Arnold Road. I'm just curious because I heard you reference the old form. Now, the old form said adopted in 2017, but for years, people could just email and still get their data requests. Never an issue until data requests started coming in. Then data requests start coming in, and then it's, you have to use this form, but the form doesn't even have half of these things on it. So just like, I don't know, last month, when my husband went to submit a data request, I took your horrible old form, I blew it up, made it clear, put Tony's information on it, added all these extra things. And his data request was rejected because it wasn't the official form. This is manipulation in its finest. And that is exactly the same information I had on that form that was rejected. This is a power game. And my form is better than that form, I'll tell you that right now. But I want to know if, when this goes into play, all the ones that were existing that still haven't been fulfilled, because we fulfilled January, it looks like, for an hour and a half, but the ones in December, and I even have a list, I mean, very simple data requests that are still not fulfilled. So before this goes into play, can we just get caught up to speed and then move forward with changing stuff?
The data requests that are already submitted will be grandfathered in.
Yeah. Yeah.
This will not come into play until we vote on it at our next council meeting. But at that time, yes, we will start using the new form.
Okay, well, moving forward, when we keep changing these policies and things, I would suggest if somebody has done the work, because Tony is so clearly taxed and so behind. If somebody does the work to put together a really nice form, maybe accept it. Maybe just say thank you. I don't know, instead of always digging your heels in. Good work in your favor.
Thank you, Tara. Yes.
Tony, can you explain this data request that was denied? You're not doing any power play or any.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm following the policies that are established and in place. So our current policy requires all data requests to be submitted on our forms. So no, one can't alter our forms and submit requests because that's not our form.
That makes sense.
Okay, thank you for that.
Lisa Loves, 3861 West Tisha. I just want to ask a couple questions. I know paper copies, you're charging 25 cents. One side, 50 cents, two sides. Now I see it says copies, please refer to the policy for explanation of fees. But now you also, in that, give the option of email at the bottom of your form there, I'm sorry.
Yep, it's on the bottom, the form is.
Yeah, right there. Okay, so email, mail, or pickup. So email, we all know that you can only send so much via email. So are you offering, a pen drive or a USB drive? If it's that much and you do have it electronically? Is that an option? But people don't really burn CDs anymore, you know,
That's what the language said in here.
Yeah, that
This
ages
model
me
calls for
incredibly,
the
but-
CD-ROM, and I'm like, that.
yeah, that
We
ages.
don't have, I don't think we can do that anymore.
But like a USB drive or something, and, because I know it says if you don't have it readily available in that format, which makes sense. You know, unless you want to scan stuff and then make it electronic to put it all on a USB drive, but I was just wondering how it would charge when it was emailed, when you can't always email that. And if you're printing it, for me to come and inspect it, that's already one copy of it. You know, I guess, I guess that's where I'm convoluted with how I see it, I guess.
So what I'm planning on doing on that side of things is council adopts a city fee schedule every year. And I think the 25 cents and 50 cents is currently in our fee schedule. So we'll just add something in about, I was just looking at a sample one from Minneapolis, USB drive, this gigabyte to this gigabyte is this much money.
USB drive for larger ones. So that'll just be something we'll have to incorporate into our annual fee schedule that we review.
Cause like for me, for example, I have USB drives laying around my house, like actually. And so I could easily run on up here and be like, hey, can you run this overnight? You know, I know it's big. Can you download it
Yeah.
overnight? Are you still gonna charge me the $50?
Right.
Even though I brought you the drive?
I did do that until our auditors came and I tried to offer them a flash drive and they said, we don't put anything in our computers that we don't know where it came from.
Which makes sense. Yeah. from
That
their
is why we would
standpoint,
be
yeah.
purchasing, yeah.
Yeah, just like I don't know if I would. If I were one of you and I handed you a drive, I'm not sure
Exactly, yep.
the intentions behind
Yep,
that drive.
yeah.
So I do get that, but I was just kind of really confused about that last portion. With the emailing, because it was right under the talking about the fees.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
and it's a work in progress, so that may be something.
You
we
guys know
got in there.
working on
Yeah, no, that's good.
Laurel Mellon, 4225 Dasburg Road. Kind of an answer to your question, Bill, that you just asked Tony about, if it's practice. I requested in September 25, 10 minutes of video of the lobby. And I said in the request that I should be the only one on the video because I sat in the parking lot before I came in and after. So it should be all good. You don't have to worry about, privacy or editing out anything. But I only received 3.5 minutes of the 10 minutes that I requested. Don't know why, since like I said, I sat in the parking lot. I knew there was no other public, private stuff being had in the lobby. So I don't know why I didn't get all of it. Just like when Justin had made data request for the 49er video, asking for it to start at 7:30, and for some reason the video started at 7:34. So in my personal experience and from what I've seen from other people, maybe it's only just a select few of us, there is, for some reason, we're not getting complete requests. As I highlighted earlier with another request, there's 2 items that are even mentioned in my data request in the email exchanges between city employees, but the actual items aren't included in the data request. But she's aware of them because they're in the emails that she
Should you
included.
go and ask her again? Did you say you missed the last 7 minutes?
No, I did
Okay,
not. I
then-
just, it was a selection in the middle and, it was come and get the drive. I had to wait a few days before I even had an opportunity. I think you even had messaged me asking if I got everything I wanted and I said I haven't had a chance to look yet. And then it just kind of dropped from there. But then when I did watch, I was like, what? I mean, this is the video of me walking in and out, but why didn't I get the full 10? Like, why was it taken, like, who cares if it's just an empty
But
lobby
you
for
said
5
these
minutes?
questions.
Yeah, well, I'm asking them now, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
who cares if it's just 5 empty minutes in the hallway? I asked for 10 minutes. Why can't I get the 10 minutes? If it's just,
Maybe it was overlooked, but we will look into it. Send an official request on that, please.
Yeah, because it's multiple things like that have been adding up that, we just lost a really good employee for, to me, much more minor infractions where, it's our civil rights that are being violated by not getting our data requests fulfilled.
Well, we didn't know you missed that 7 minutes till about right now.
Yes,
So
you
always
did.
reach out.
But I know that the minutes missing from Justin's have been made public. I've heard them mentioned many times in meetings that they were missing. And it's like I said, it's a common theme, these data requests were, and then especially this was just asking for a video about myself, or if the request also was just for my own personal, it wasn't researching anybody else. All I asked is anything regarding me and myself, and I couldn't even get all the information to me about me, which I feel like that kind of ludicrous. I
Like
should
you
be able to
say,
ask that.
If you didn't get what you want, formally email it, or the mayor to it, make sure you get what you want, because we're gonna give you what you want.
Yeah, and well, now the videos, we can't get videos. That's the new rule, so.
Well, we can't let these things fester for months on end. So hit us up right away.
That was the exact process I've done with all the exchange at CCU. And you watched me ask her about, I counted, I thought it was 3 times, but it was actually 6 times where I said, can you correct me if I'm wrong? Did you or did you not send an email to the sheriff's department? No answer. Tony, is it my understanding that when you sent the links to the sheriff's department, that you didn't have to redact any information? Correct me if I'm wrong. No answer. You're on all those emails. Why don't you go back and take a look at the way she responds to the questions of missing data in data requests? I intentionally included you. And then when she intentionally tried to just respond to me on certain ones, I intentionally copied it and then brought it back to you. You are responsible for reviewing all that.
I would say this, Tara, if you did not get the response you had, we send it to one of the other counselors. We all have the equal authority to help you.
None of you have come through on anything for me.
I
I'm
haven't
just
seen
doing
an
what I
email
need to
from
do.
you.
What's that?
I haven't seen an email from you.
No, I've seen one from you. You want me to quote it?
Okay, that's enough.
We're trying to help you get the data.
I doubt
The
it.
city will give it to you. If you're finding a dead end, reach out to another counselor.
Oh. It should work that one though. I did reach out to all of you and you all know what I'm talking about. You have an email right now showing you the form. I constantly reach out. So don't make it seem like I have.
I don't know that.
I'll check your email right now.
I will after the meeting.
Okay, any more questions on the data practices policies? All right. And we'll see these again in 2 weeks. Employment openings, Tony?
Yes, there was some discussion about, our current employment opening for a roads worker. Just wondering if it's something that council would like us to post for that opening at this time. I think the concern is if we get a large ongoing snowstorm, making sure we have enough coverage for that time.
And this will be a permanent?
Yes.
So we currently have temporary workers.
We have a temporary worker right now, yes.
I would say yes.
I support.
Okay, we need another. We need another employee.
Yeah, we definitely, for sure.
Support that too. Sorry too.
Do we need to vote on this? Or you just need
Just do it.
Yeah, just post it, yeah.
Okay, deferred assessments.
So I included a letter in the agenda from, one of our residents on West Calvary Road who, has been deferred from paying the assessment since it went into effect in 2008. I think we had talked to her maybe a year or two ago and just inquiring about, what the balance is, kind of what happens, after the deferral is done. So based on what was initially assessed was the 20,000, I'm trying to pull up some exact numbers, $20,556.20. Currently, the balance on that is now $39,416.68. So she was just kind of inquiring what her options are. I did tell her that she's always welcome to either send a letter to council for the meeting or to come here in person and talk to you guys about what the options are. So in my report, I just kind of included, we had a few other people that were deferred. One that was, they did a payoff in 2024. That was $35,936.17. And then just also noted that looking at the amortization schedule for those that have been making their annual assessments, when that is paid off, they will have paid a total of $33,911.20. So just wondering if council wants to do anything on her behalf. Questions on anything in the report?
Oh, she was 81 years old and in poor health.
Yeah. And bear in mind, she will probably never have to pay the assessment. Because when it's only becomes payable, on the sale of the property, death of the owner, if it becomes non-homestead, so if she, still owns the property but moves out, or if there's no hardship, but again, don't see that being an issue in her case. So most of the time, these assessments are paid off on the sale of the property. Mhm.
Does she understand that? We're not gonna come knocking at her door.
I think she does, but, she was also talking about potentially gifting her home to her granddaughter, so I don't know if she's trying to figure out how that affects her granddaughter at the same time. But again, the law is set up for deferral for people that meet these certain stipulations.
Yeah, I think one of them was, they're over 65.
Yeah. Mhm.
The problem is in 2008, she was under 65. Correct? And you're in your lower 60s if she's 81 now. That's my, like, I don't mind deferring it, but at some point. So that means she hasn't made a payment.
She may have been under that income level. Sorry.
Yeah, I didn't look into the exact reasons why she was deferred in the first place.
So this will get cleared up during a property transfer.
Would it be,
It'll be payable
if it's sold,
on property transfer.
if it's sold, right? Yeah, not transferred. Is
Well,
that right?
What happens if she transfers it,
Yes.
then what happens?
It's up on here. Property sold, transferred, subdivided, or in any way conveyed to another by the owner qualified for deferral.
Gotcha.
I guess I wouldn't mind discounting it to the amount that everyone else who has paid it paid, that 33,911. But I don't want to make it go away because we paid it.
Right, yeah.
I'd be careful on the discounting, because there'll be a resident or two that'll come in and say, I didn't get the discount. We're gonna open it every weekend, so.
Are there any others that would take the bill on that?
He's already here.
Here right now, that
She's my neighbor.
Getting beat up there.
It's been explained to her several times. And at point of sale, they'll be satisfied, correct? No, let it go.
yeah. Well, and I think too that we have,
She's kind of stubborn Irish woman, so.
within the last couple of years, we have had someone pay it off and they ended up having to pay that 35,000. So
Okay. Well,
And she
that's,
is low income. She doesn't have.
I'm sure.
What is the interest rate that's accrued?
I think it's 5.75%. So I did mention that too, that,
Yeah, it's not,
It's-
nothing.
yeah. And again, you don't have to make a decision tonight. That's kind of why I put this one on here for,
I think it's,
for first readings, you can think about it a little bit too.
yeah, I think that's really good to chat about this because that's a lot of money.
Hey, Amy, could it be reassessed? Potentially. In increments, so something like, it wouldn't go away, but be it the granddaughter, whomever takes ownership of the property, could it become an assessment payable annually? Extend what we've been doing now, I just thought, something else to think about.
Yeah. I thought of that today. I don't know how the statute reads to allow for that, but I know we have reassessed property that's gone tax forfeit. So we will still have a few West Calvary parcels that, we still have assessments for the next 8 years probably.
Can you check on how the statute looks at that for the next time? Okay, anything? With the ice you want to bring up? Yes. Are there any questions or comments from the audience on this issue?
I should sit closer.
You're getting your steps
You know, as I said, I got my steps in. When you work from home, you don't get to me in. I was looking at this earlier, and it's not my place to say what you should or shouldn't do for any of it. But my big question is this was adopted in 2011. So this was adopted, this document that you have as your policy was adopted like 2 years after the assessment happened. And it hasn't been now reevaluated in 15 years. Is that something that you think you should maybe also look at? Because, you know, if this was written back then and no one's looked at the statute could have changed over, and maybe, like Carly said, that would be an option, depending on how it's worded, for her granddaughter to then have it say deferred over 20 years. So maybe look at updating, or someone at least checking out the statute to make sure it's still the same, because if you notice, it says notwithstanding the provisions of any law to the contrary, any county, statutory or home rule charter city or town. So I think there is some leeway, depending on how the bigger statute is written, that there might be something you could maybe look at, but I do think you should look at updating your deferment policy maybe.
And just to clarify too, this one was adopted in 2011, but there was one in place in 2008 when the assessment was adopted too.
I assume as much.
Yeah. But just to clarify, we didn't adopt it after we deferred assessment.
But taking a look at how it fits with current statutes. Any other comments? All right, well then, Tony, we've given you some homework.
All right.
And we'll see this again in 2 weeks. In the meantime, also think about how you would like to pursue this. Okay, unfinished business, none. So I will look for a motion to adjourn.
Hopefully the motion.